So thank you for those that have joined today's Sikich on-demand webinar. We have some really great content, insights, and thought leadership that we're really excited to share with folks working or following in the P&C insurance space, and specifically the MGA markets. So just a few housekeeping items before we begin. We encourage folks to submit questions via the question feature that's located directly on the webinar control panel. If we don't have time to get to any of the questions, we'll make sure our team follows up after the webinar. Poll questions may pop up throughout the webinar, so if you see those pop up on your screen, please follow the prompts to respond to them. Presentation slides and other resources can be downloaded from the handout section that's on the webinar control panel. The webinar is going to be recorded and it will be sent out for on-demand access after the session as well. At the end of the webinar, a short survey will launch, so please take a few seconds to fill out the survey so we can gather some feedback to help improve our content and webinars for you guys in the future. Okay, now let's get started. So today's topic is really at the forefront of many of our attendees and our client partners' minds, especially as we head into the second half of the year. The topic is, what are the trends for MGAs as we look into the second half of 2023? Namely, what are the 5 ways MGAs and those in the ecosystem can close the year with confidence? Hi, everyone. Thank you again for joining. My name is Rahul Bhatia. I'm a partner at Sikich's InsurTech practice, focused on providing technology-enabled professional services to the entire P&C insurance market, including middle market, enterprise, and startup carriers, brokers, and MGAs. Today, I am joined by my esteemed colleague and webinar co-host, Chris Quirk. Chris is the VP and General Manager of the MGA markets at Insurity, one of the leading cloud-based configurable insurance software companies in the P&C space. Focused on SaaS-based cloud solutions for 22 of the top 25 P&C carriers and 7 of the top 10 MGAs in the US. Chris, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Raul. You know, I've spent the past 20 plus years of my career focused in the intermediary space, either being part of it directly within an MGA or bringing software solutions to solve, you know, the many problems that face this industry. So really excited to be here today with you, talk about a few things that I'm seeing in the market and learn a little bit about what you're seeing.
Awesome, that sounds great. And I know there's a lot of ground to cover today on today's topic, so time is short, so let's get at it. So Chris, you and I have talked a lot about trends and what we're seeing in the MGA market. So can you maybe just get us started on what's one of the first main areas of interest you keep running into and having conversations with other MGA leaders?
Absolutely. So, you know, as you'd imagine, we get a good opportunity to talk with many leaders in the industry, both CIOs and underwriting officers and others. And, you know, as they're looking at how they attack the back half of this year and go into 2024 with success, many are looking at their overall technology stack and thinking about how they solve problems, how they bring together solutions. And, you know, they're evaluating new tools, right? Some of those new tools that people are looking at are CRM tools such as Salesforce, low code, no code tools, and other ways to try to evolve and adapt to the market. But, you know, all of these tools have challenges, right? You almost have to build from scratch in many cases, the entire workflow, add in all the complexities of the intermediary market. And boy, you know, getting to a solution quickly is not always something that occurs. And, you know, in that regard, I see some of the best companies starting to look at best of breed solutions. So whether that be the best of breed for policy or claims or billing or underwriting, looking for the best solution in the marketplace to fit their need, and then really choosing those you know, software solutions that offer them an open ecosystem, an open API, so that they can bring those best of breed solutions together. In some cases, you know, there's even opportunity to meet the right tech stack and vendor who actually solves many of these problems all in one solution. So, you know, you're seeing really customers recognize that low code, no code solves some problems. CRMs maybe are best as CRMs, and really starting to focus back at really where core systems and the functionality they bring, and really the integration capabilities they can bring, solve their problems. I guess, Raul, I was curious, that's what I'm seeing a bit on the software side of things. What are you seeing in terms of how customers are, really delivering projects that meet their needs and get to value quicker?
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what you mentioned. We're seeing a lot more where everybody's really focused on what's the right solution for the industry that they're in, right? So looking at a solution for an MGA market that's really built for MGAs by MGAs is really what gives them the most value and also gives them the best ability to sort of scale their growth and also run their business, professionally and operationally beneficially. So one of the things that we've continued to see is you can't really put a square peg in a round hole, right? And to your point, industry agnostic systems where you can create fields or workflows or reports are great, right? But ultimately you want something that's really purpose-built for the industry that you're in. So that's number one. And number two that we're really seeing is exactly what you said with integrated ecosystems. A lot of our clients are focusing not on just one, platform that may be a CRM platform that can do everything, but really looking at what's best for each and how do we integrate them, together. And I think that whole common connection framework of being able to integrate all these solutions together is really what we're seeing out there. And I know Insurity has built a pretty robust connection fabric across its products, right, to enable integrations with other tools, which is system agnostic, the Insurity Connect system. So, exactly like that is building out an ecosystem, but having those open APIs where you can really sort of plug and play and connect to multiple systems where it is the best of breed. So very similar to what you're seeing as well.
Well, and certainly, Raul, when you look at how customers are having to be adaptable and how they're having to approach their solutions, certainly, I personally understand that you're going to choose the solution that meets you where you need to be, and maybe you're going to need to use solutions that you already have in your ecosystem. So really, having opportunities to easily integrate them using integration platforms as a service, such as Insurity Connect, can be really something that our customers are taking advantage of.
That's right. So one of the other things that we're seeing out in the market a lot is really focusing with MGA clients, counterparts on, initiatives that are going to add immediate value in our, especially as we look at the second half of the year, right? There may have been a time where it was, let's try to do proof of concepts, let's try to see what sticks, right? But ultimately with the actual market and sort of some of the headwinds that we're hearing, especially as we get into the second half of the year, what everyone's real focus is how do they look at initiatives and projects that are going to add immediate return on investment? So that's something we've been really seeing for the second half of the year that I think is really going to become important and adds a lot of value to our counterparts and clients is how do you look at projects that are streamlining workflows, right? Providing cleaner, more actionable data and insights, things that are making better informed underwriting decisions, right? And providing better customer experiences. Those are really the focus on projects or initiatives that we see a lot of our clients and we're recommending for our counterparts and clients to look at is things that are really going to give you, quote unquote, the best bang for your buck, right? And the most immediate value as well. As an industry over the past 20 years, we've been building enterprise core performing systems, really these core processing systems, right? Whether it's your policy admin system, your billing, your claims, and a lot of investment up to now has been in building those systems, right? But going forward, I think streamlining them and automating those processes within those systems is really what's gonna add the most value to a lot of our clients, right? So again, big investments have gone into these systems, but how do you make sure you're automating what you need to and also streamlining the processes that have been built over the years? So.
Yeah, and Raul, thinking about these projects, right? You mentioned data in particular, and our industry as a whole is sitting on a fair amount of data, and some of it locked up. And I think many companies are starting to think about how do we use our data, analyze it, work with it, And then I think the interesting thing is, some of this is driven even by the interest in AI, right? So if you think about, how do I incorporate AI into my processes? Well, ultimately, you have to have curated data and information that these types of tools can be used with. I guess, what are some insights that you've been looking at in terms of how our customers should approach AI in the back half of this year?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's what we're fielding every day, right? So, I mean, a lot of our colleagues and our clients are looking at, digital transformation, and specifically, should they be jumping into new age technology such as AI? Especially with the advent of generative AI and apps such as ChatGPT and Bard, like that's kind of become common, not only common corporate conversation, but all common household conversation, right? Is using ChatGPT and using AI and all the different, use cases that we're seeing. But, what we're really telling our customers and what we're really seeing in the market is starting to research and understand what are those use cases in their business where AI and automation is best suited, right? So don't try to boil the ocean and try to be too sort of ahead of the curve, for lack of a better term, but really focus on what are those use cases that are going to add the most value, but then also the ones that are going to really where AI adoption is going to help and support, right? AI is just at its first preliminary cut right now. So there's a lot that we're learning, there's a lot that we're seeing, and there's a lot that's going to be different as we go through it. But I believe the best is understanding what are those business use cases and really seeing where AI is going to add that value that you need for your process, for your business, right? So again, as we look at H2, it's like we want to be a little bit closer to projects. We want to make sure that what we're doing sort of adds value, but really our recommendation is start researching what are those use cases. Also start building a foundation of when you do adopt AI that you're ready for it, right? From a risk control and support standpoint. So this is the time to kind of do our homework right now and figure out the AI game so that we'll be much better positioned when we are ready to adopt it. The three common areas that we see AI adoption or curiosity around AI, or where we see there's going to be the most immediate value, is where we're leveraging AI to gain insights into customer behavior, to understand risk patterns, and third, to drive operational efficiency. So I think within those three realms, if folks are looking at what use cases can be achieved and can be solved from AI, I think that's going to add the most value going forward.
Yeah, it's interesting. And you mentioned automation earlier, and I think you can almost confuse AI with automation. So I think, learn now about AI, but don't be cautious about automating or actually improving your processes today through automation, because those tools exist, they're known, they're well known, but don't get them confused with AI. And I see that quite a bit and hear that as listen to analysts. So I think it's just one of those things. I like what you said about really focus on the use cases, try to learn today and start to prepare by collating your data and starting to take action to do so. So it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about best of breed solutions. We talked a little bit about immediate ROI. So what's another key area for MGAs as we head into the second half of the year that you're seeing and that maybe it's worth giving some note to as well?
Yeah, I think everyone who is involved in the intermediary space is reacting to the changing market conditions, and that could be either in creating new products to meet sort of the changing climate changes or regulatory environment, or even some of the social inflation we're seeing, or even adjusting to the amount and volume of business that's coming in. And as this market tries to adapt, really reducing time to actually getting to value is a really key component for our customers, and I think that everyone should be thinking about. When you sort of embark on a software solution or a project, I think it's easy to get trapped into overthinking what you must solve, and really maybe even going through a more waterfall type approach to solving a problem, only to get yourself mired in a long project that takes a long time to deliver, and sometimes misses the mark because it's kind of taken too long to get there. And so I think that for our customers and for everyone in the industry, I think it's important to focus on what brings value quickly to the opportunity that you have at hand and to how you adapt in the marketplace, and to really remain agile in how you think about bringing that value to your customers. Ultimately, how they interact with their partners is a big part of this as well. So, people such as Sikich and others, and how they are adaptable as a solution is delivered. I guess, Raul, what do you see customers doing to adapt, adjust, and bring value more quickly to the market?
Yeah, I mean, speed to market is really essentially paramount in a lot of our delivery, a lot of our implementations and our projects, right? So a couple of things that we do, which has added a lot of value, is to not try to focus on all features, functionality that may be needed in a system as part of your initial go lives, right? Or your initial phases. It's what we call an MVP process, or a minimum viable product, right? It's sort of common now within the industry, but it really is, how do you focus on what's most important for a system go live or getting to market, right? A lot of times, or most of the times, these systems are living, breathing organisms in themselves, right? So it's something that can be enhanced. It's something that can be improved, after a go live. So it's not an end all be all once you go live and that's it. You're never going to touch the system. In fact, the highly efficient operating systems are those that you continue to enhance, those that you continue to support, right? So believing that you don't need all of that in order to get to a phase one or your first go live has really been successful for a lot of our clients and organizations that we've helped supported and deliver projects to. A lot of times you think you know what you need when you first go into a requirements assessment or design solution, right? And then sort of as you get through it, you realize that there's a lot of features and functionalities once you use the system you aren't using the same way you intended or thought to be using them. So really focusing on what are those features and functionalities that are going to give you the highest value as your phase one, as your initial go live, has been something really important for our clients, and it saves money and cost as well, right? So you're not looking at a 12 or 18-month implementation. How can you get live in 4 to 6 months? But then from there, build off of that into a solution that can be enhanced from there. So I think that's probably the biggest thing that we've seen in terms of speed to market for our clients is essentially getting to the point where they can start with their projects, they can start with a go live, and then expand from there.
Yeah, and I think, Raul, you and I were discussing this, that in many cases, the systems themselves come with enough base functionality to sometimes get out of the gate and get running and start to learn and adapt and only take on the tasks and projects that are of most value, right? I know one thing you'd mentioned to me in the past is really, looking to deliver type, accelerators for customers too, who are operating in particular lines of business or otherwise. I think, what are some of the challenges in that, and maybe some of the benefits of an accelerator, Raul?
Yeah, so the accelerators are something that we've started for a lot of the products and applications where we do a lot of implementations for them, right? And it's sort of a head start for us, because what we do is we invest in understanding what's out of the box. What are the features, functionality, and processes that are out of the box? And from there, it gives you essentially a starting point where you can start to build in, okay, here's the out of the box system. Now let's start talking about gaps to your processes, and how do we configure the solution to really accommodate the needs or the processes that are different for you, right? So having that head start or having that accelerator, essentially what we've seen has, shaved off 25 to 40% of the implementation time that we've seen for projects, because of the investment that we've been able to make on these delivery projects to not start from scratch, not start from a blank piece of paper, which is, okay, what are you looking for out of a system? But really, to your point, focusing in on what comes out of the box. Let's understand your system and your processes, and how different are those processes from what comes out of the box, right? And often, a lot of times, where I think a lot of us make, you know, we're challenged is we're always looking at our processes and seeing how those processes are going to map into a new solution or technology that we're going to implement or deliver. But a lot of times that's not the right way of looking at it. Instead, we should be looking at, okay, what is the new system or solution do for us out of the box? How can we conform or adhere to some of that, which will save costs, it'll save a lot of technical debt, right? And then what are the things that are unique or bespoke to us that we just need as part of that? And those are where we can focus on gaps of configuration or customization, but not looking at, you know, sort of replicating what you had in a legacy system into a new system is really important. And that's our first recommendation as we go through projects and proposals. So.
Yeah, I think this is a real mindset shift, not just in the intermediary space, but in the property and casualty space as a whole, right? So, you know, this is one of the fun things about working at Insurity is that, you know, we get to engage with, you know, tier one carriers all the way down to some of the smaller MGAs. And, you know, this is a common problem, right? And one where everyone needs to think about, how do I shift my mindset, bring value to both my customers and, you know, your organization quicker. And I think these are some good ways to do that.
It's great. It's great. And this has been great so far. So, you know, we've really covered some really good nuggets here, some good insights so far. One thing, Chris, can you speak to some of the challenges maybe that some MGAs are facing, you know, as we get into H2, right? We've talked a little bit about, hey, you know, focus on these areas, and these are things that I think are going to add a lot of value. But what specific challenges are you seeing within the MGA industry, you know, in the second half of the year?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think it's important to touch on the market itself, right? So, you know, the market continues to be a hard market. And, you know, there are some lines of business such as professional lines where we're seeing some price stabilization, but for the foreseeable future, the property market is likely to continue to be hard. And, you know, to top that off, I guess if you look back the past 10 years, the growth in the excess and surplus lines side of this business has really surpassed the admitted market. And that lies, you know, all this pressure squarely on the MGA market to fill the demand. And, you know, that demand is met by, you know, developing new programs and new products, and then actually accessing capital and capacity from reinsurers, from the Lloyd's of London marketplace. And that capacity itself is becoming constrained as, you know, you're seeing your increase in rates directly from the reinsurers. And so, you know, how do our customers and even how is the industry tackling this problem of capacity? And, you know, what I wanted to share today was that where I see our customers and others making the best benefit out of utilizing software is to recognize that having the right system in place with the right controls and underwriting guidelines to keep you within you know, certain guidelines can help you secure capacity. You know, you go into the marketplace, you're speaking with brokers and you know, fronting carriers and others to put together programs. And as you are discussing things, certainly the relationship's a big part of it. But when you show you have controls in place, you show that you have ways in which your carriers and partners can receive data in a timely way, these are things that help you secure capacity. I think extended beyond just that and just having a system that functions, you know, because of these capacity constraints, aggregate management, contract management across a diverse set of products is really something that we're hearing about across our MGA customer base. And I think, you know, there are solutions that can help you with this, and they are solutions that can help drive your ability to meet the market demand as it relates to, you know, property and managing your capacity. And, you know, I'd be remiss if I don't mention also just many of the data augmentation capabilities that are now available, right? You think about geospatial information, predictive analytics. All of these things are now available to help you as an MGA or intermediary show that you have a tight control on the underwriting for your book of business.
Yeah, no, that's great insight. Really, really great points. So this has been great so far. And, I think now what we wanted to do, especially with a few minutes left, is we want to make sure we leave our audience and our attendees with some key takeaways, right? Items we feel focusing on for the second half of the year specifically are really going to help MGAs navigate the waters and smoothen out some of the potential headwinds that we may face as an industry. So I know we have some key takeaways here, and I'll kind of go over them a little bit. But really, I think what we mentioned is leveraging best-in-breed technology, right, to meet the market demand. That's extremely important. Focusing in on actionable data and insights. Having a chance to explore and discover AI, but really staying focused on use case-driven instances for 2024. Delivering speed to value and speed to market by being laser focused, and often that may mean reducing scope and focusing on what matters the most, and using technology to your advantage when you're seeking capacity. I think these are all great takeaways, and they really speak to a lot of what our customers, clients in the MGA market has been looking for, and also is navigating as they go through the second half of the year.
Yeah, I think all of these are key, right? It's, and I think as I look at it, you may be thinking, well, can I do all 5 of these in the back half of the year? And I think the intent in our discussion was to say, take these strategies, start to weave them into your processes and your strategy for 2023, but then bring them into 2024 in terms of setting yourself up for longer term success and meeting, as you said, Raul, the headwinds that are really out there in the financial industry and as it impacts the P&C industry.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So this is great. To close out our session today, we do have a poll question we wanted to leave our attendees and audience with. So our team is going to launch the poll question. And Chris, if you don't mind, we can have you read out the poll question, and then we'll give our audience about 30 seconds or so for everyone to answer. And then we can do some wrap-ups and some close-ups too.
Yeah, no problem. So today's question is, which digital transformation strategy holds the most potential for your organization? So implementing advanced data analytics for underwriting, developing a seamless digital distribution platform, or adopting automation for your policy administration system. Certainly appreciate y'all's answers today.
Great. We'll give about 30 seconds or so everyone can just take a chance to answer those. And then we'll start to wrap up here.
Great.
Awesome. This has been a really, really great session. Chris, thank you so much for all of your insight, your recommendations. You really understand the market, and kind of, seeing what's going on and being at the bleeding edge of it really allows a lot of our listeners and attendees to really understand, how to make them better, how to make their organizations better. And we really appreciate it. For our audience, as a reminder, please complete the survey that pops up after the webinar. We greatly appreciate any feedback for future webinars to make sure that we're doing a better job. And we will follow up with you with answers to any questions we were not able to get to. As mentioned in the beginning, today's session was recorded, and we'll be sending it out for on-demand access in the next day or so. And most of all, thank you all for attending, and hope everyone has a great day.
Thanks, Raul. Appreciate being here today.
Great. Awesome. Thanks, everyone.